Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another broadcast here for Fast Break Live for IE Sports Radio. You're the read for all his sports. I am riding solo once again for a show tonight. Locke still in conference down in Florida, so he'll be back with us next calendar year in January 4th. But on tonight's show, we'll go over the big time matchup between USC and UCONN. Paige Buchers, Juju Watkins. Who came out on top? And my thoughts on that matchup. And possibly we can see these teams again match up in the tournament. Also, the NBA Cup Finals happened this past Tuesday with the Milwaukee Bucks taking the title. With a team that was kind of on the bottom early this year. After this Cup win, can they build some momentum going into the new calendar year? And also on the other side of things with the Thunder, is it just a speed bump for them? Plus, we'll do talk around the NBA and college basketball. And with the Lakers possibly sweeping the Sacramento Kings on the 28th. So I'll dive into that as well. So lots to get into on the show tonight. On the other side of things, we'll break everything down. But first, we'll get these commercial breaks in. And plus, a new sponsor. So this is Fast Break Live for IE Sports Radio. You're the referee for all sports. And I'll catch y'all on the other side.
IE Sports Radio fans, this show is brought to you by Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky. Planet Jerky is the official jerky of the 2022 California League champion Lake Elsinore Storm, Single A affiliate of the San Diego Padres. This all brisket jerky has gluten-free options, contains no MSG, no sodium nitrate, is low in sugar, and high in protein. Go to their website at planetjerky.net and follow them on Instagram at Planet Jerky. Planet Jerky, the jerky that's on a whole other planet.
Hey there, IE Sports Radio fans. Be sure to check out our sponsor, Seal the Deal Wax Seals by Cecilia B. You just finished your very own wedding or baby shower invitations and you're looking for that extra special touch? Maybe you just wrote a letter to a relative or a friend and you want to add to their smile when they receive it. Then seal the deal with Cecilia's handmade sealing wax stamps for your invitations, letters, and gifts. You bring the deal, we'll bring the seal. You can find them on Instagram at sealthedeal_wax stamps and on Facebook, Seal the Deal Wax Seals.
rise and shine. It's 4 a.m. The stars are still out. The sun is beneath the horizon, but it's time to punch in and go to work. The comfort of your warm-ups turns into the grinding out of your reps as the clinking and the clanking of the plates create a symphony of euphoria. There's no other feeling like it. Earn it, burn it, and take what's yours. IE Sports Radio has proudly partnered with Vital Apparel, a brand that not only fits great, but also promotes and donates to mental health research. Use our code IESR to get 15% off their comfortable and inspiring gym wear and help them on their amazing journey to support mental health. Go hard, take part in your iron therapy, and be strong. Because when your mental health is as strong as you are, there's no telling how far you'll go. For the last 10 years, IE Sports Radio has been bringing you amazing content ranging from interviewing legendary athletes, coaches, and other authorized media personnel to building tailor-made shows dedicated to all major sports cities around the country. Make sure to follow us at IE Sports Radio on X, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube to keep up with the latest in sports and with all of our shows. Also, make sure to check out our daily updated website at iesportsradio.com. At iesportsradio.com, you can see our daily show schedule and check out all of our show pages with personal bios to learn a little bit more about each of our awesome hosts. In addition to our show pages, you can catch the IE Sports Radio blog, Hall of Fame, Fans of the Month page, and our merchandise shop including t-shirts, tank tops, caps, long sleeves, hoodies, and more. For now over a decade here at IE Sports Radio, we've continued to be by the fans, for the fans, and we thank you all for your support and for making IE Sports Radio your direct feed for all that is sports.
All right, and we're back into the folded things. I want half a fast break here. Davidson Crooks, my other co-host Locke, Dentarius Locke is down in Florida for a track conference, so he won't be back with us to next calendar year. Well, calendar next month, January 4th, next show in January. So he'll be back till then, and also visiting family down there for the holidays as well. I hate when the holidays kind of like in the middle like that, especially Christmas and stuff like that. But anyways. He'll be back with us here soon. But this is Fast Break here live for IE Sports Radio, your Greek for all is sports. Thank you for tuning in with us tonight. We're going to have a loaded show for y'all. A lot of great topics to talk about. While then the monologue before we get started here. I want to dive in. There's a lot of topics to talk about when talking about in the world of basketball. But first, before we get in there, all our takes are here on Twitter/X at Fastbreak IESR. That's Fastbreak IESR. You see the logo that you see there in the background there. Do give us a follow there on Twitter/X. And like I said, follow, like the last commercial, follow the IE Sports Radio on all your social media feeds. We're Twitter/X, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. I don't know if we're going to be on Blue Sky yet, but we're going to be on there. Damn it, follow us on there. Also, you get the latest, all the shows playbacks on Spotify, YouTube, Google Podcasts, wherever you get your podcast feed from, we're on there. Do tune in with us anytime. All right. Now I got that out of the way. The NBA Cup Finals. You had the Bucks defeat the Thunder 97-81. Last week, I had one Mr. Terry Rodriguez, and we kind of discussed, who should win in this matchup, and what's the ramifications of each team winning. Now, last season, we saw the Lakers win the NBA Cup championship and all that good stuff, and for the better part, for them, you thought it'd be a good momentum builder and stuff like that, because he had a lot of questions of Lakers, like, Can Darvin Ham use his momentum, all that good stuff? Can Darvin Ham figure this stuff out? Can he use it as a momentum builder for the squad that desperately needed it? And the answer is no. And we saw the end result. Darvin Ham got let go at the end of that year. But the Bucks, in turn, making it here. You had a team, not saying disarray, but it's just like, a lot of questions, coming into this. It's like they came out the gates losing real bad. A team that, with the MVP, always MVP candidate with Giannis, Damian Lillard in the fold. It's a championship team along with those two guys. And of course, you didn't have Chris Middleton for the early part of the first part of the season, but get him getting back, things will change. But they got on the run. They made the NBA Cup Finals, and they went up against Thunder Squad, that one of the better teams in the NBA, and they just outright demolished them. And I know the score kind of don't indicate that, but we watched that game. They really came in and hammered them. Giannis was getting what he wanted, bullying. I don't say bullying the young Thunder team, but he got his points and got his stats. He finished with 26 points, 19 rebounds. And we kind of talked, me and D-Law talked, when the Thunder lost some of their big men, Chet Holmgren and Isaiah Hartenstein, like, we'll go in small, hurt them. In the short term, maybe not, but I think they're too good of a team that, they're going to let that, bother them. Well, they got Isaiah Hartenstein back into the fold things, but even him back into the fold kind of gets that depth down low. It didn't really, change much. Giannis just got rebounds left and right, driving the lane. Even though I think, he got some calls in his favor when he's kind of out of control at times, he still kind of, dominated for the Bucks win. Now, Middleton had come back into the fold of things for Milwaukee, if y'all haven't noticed, but he did not play in this game. He was still, out kind of, I guess like a low management top he did. I know NBA fans had to hear that, but Middleton is one of those cases that you still got to low manage him. But, Giannis, 19 rebounds, 10 assists, triple-double for him. Damian Lillard, 23 points for him. And then, Bobby Portis off the bench, just 5 points, but 9 rebounds for him. And I think that was the main key thing right there. It's just like winning the rebounding battle against this OKC squad, and it really swung things in their favor. Brook Lopez was 9 rebounds. Gary Trent off the bench, 13 points for him. So I just think the size advantage with me and Mr. Rodriguez talked about, like, could that factor in today's, how, Milwaukee won the game, and it really did. Now, having said all that, with this cup win, it could be a turning point for Milwaukee. Now, some of y'all probably seen this saying, like, well, Davidson, they above 500 now. If you look at the standings right now for the East, let me pull it up real quick. They're number 5. They're 15-12. Okay. They kind of seem like they found a way. So what's the issue? Well, with the East, a lot tougher. And the 4 teams ahead of them right now, the Orlando Magic, New York Knicks, Boston Celtics, and Cleveland Cavaliers are playing exceptional ball. Playing very well. I'll talk about more Orlando in a second, but they beat the Heat without the 2-star guys and lost Mo Wagner for the rest of the year with a lower leg injury. So despite Orlando losing being out with their top 2 guys for a good while and losing another big man, they still won the game against the Miami Heat. So if you're Milwaukee, yeah, I think, in time you may eclipse Orlando, but Orlando teams that it seems like going to go away right now. But I say this about the turning point, I say this about the turning point for Milwaukee. You've won something. You kind of came out the gate struggling in the season, and you won something to kind of build upon. There's all the questions about Doc Rivers' leadership of the team. You know, if the losing continue, will Giannis up and leave? Not up and leave, but ask for a trade. You know, do you kind of start considering selling parts and stuff like that if you continue going down this bad cycle? And I think with this cup win, it kind of signifies for Milwaukee, it was like, okay, we had a bad stretch early in the season. Now we kind of found ourselves. Now can we build off of this and kind of get back to Milwaukee Buck basketball with Giannis leading the way? I think they can. Now I think it's key, you know, key in Middleton's health, key in Damian Lillard continue playing well, key in Giannis continue playing well, which should be no given. I mean, which should be no questions asked, but also healthy as well. And also, you know, can some of those guys, role players, produce? You know, Gary Trent, I thought, you know, we thought it was a low key, great signing for cheap in all season. Really hasn't, you know, shown that worth yet. And for him, you know, take a 1 year flyer like that to go to a championship team, you know, trying to back on next offseason, you know, to get a bigger payday. It's been mixed results for Mr. Gary Trent. Torian Prince, same boat. You know, got a serious high role player, kind of taking a 1 year deal with the Lakers last year. You know, mixed results there. You know, I think he got crapped on a lot more than he should. Comes to Milwaukee, coming in the same role, 1 year deal. Can he, you know, benefit for that as well? Can he take advantage of, you know, being that nice role player and get a nice payday for him? As we saw in OKC, Alex Caruso got paid. You know, Corey DeChamps, you know, 4 year, $81 million extension from OKC. So, you know, for the Bucks, I think, you know, star players will be fine. And can those bench guys continue to produce? Is my question. I think the only exception is like Bobby Portis. I don't think you have to worry about him producing. I think he does well in his role. But the other guys, you know, Brook Lopez, you know, can he continue to show up? You know, Milton, his health. How's he going to be on the rest of those guards? The rest of those guards, can they, you know, kind of step up to the plate as well? So I think for Milwaukee, I just think, you know, can they, you know, keep this up and on that? Now I say that, and they turn around to play the Cavs a few days later, and they got beat by the Cavs. So, you know, you know, maybe you win the cup as a momentum builder, and then, you know, turn around and lose to Cleveland. You know, not the worst thing in the world, but I figured, you know, with winning the cup, I figured, you know, they will trying to pull that score up. I figured winning the cup, I figured, you know, they would just kind of pick up things and stuff like that. But, you know, it didn't happen. Giannis had 33 points, you know, 14 rebounds in that loss to Cleveland. On the other side, I think for the Cavs, you know, 27 from Donovan Mitchell, 16 for Darius Garland. Dean Wade got the start. He had 15 points. So I think, you know, for Milwaukee, I think this is, you know, just run to a big machine in Cleveland right now. Now, they did pick up the win against the Wizards the other day, 112 1-on-1 in that matchup. So kind of bounce back there. You know, they got the Bulls tomorrow in Chicago, which, you know, Milwaukee and Chicago ain't too far from each other. So I think, you know, for Milwaukee, I think this is kind of starting point to kind of build some momentum. Beat the Bulls tomorrow. And then you got Brooklyn. Can you beat Brooklyn? A team that is kind of down at the moment. Then you play Chicago again. And then you got Indiana, another tough squad. So I think, you know, those stretch of games there, you look at a 5-game winning streak and close out the year, I think you'd be all good if you're Doc Rivers and company. And I got a special guest for some reason, I guess. Yeah. So on that front, let me go to the OKC side of things real quick. Could this be this is a speed bump from OKC? For me, I think it's just a speed bump for them. I think, the loss is pretty bad, but I just think, the way they've been playing all year, I think it's not the worst thing in the world for OKC. So I don't think it's like the worst thing for them losing this. And I think for them, it's just kind of like, yeah, we lost, but I think with them still top of the West, 22-5, I think this team is just fine. And they kept things afloat with Chet Holmgren gone. They kept things afloat with Isaiah Hartenstein gone and now coming back into the fold of things. So with OKC, I just think, for me, I just think it's just like, they beat Orlando the other day. They beat Miami on the 20th. 23rd, they got Washington at home. Now the rest of the year, you close out with Indiana, Charlotte, Memphis, a tough game, and Minnesota is like a kind of like a wild card because Julius Randle hasn't been a too good fit with Minnesota. Anthony Davis is crying about the refs, so there could be a thing that you could take advantage of Minnesota to kind of keep them down and out your way. A team a lot of us thought was on the rise, and kind of look now, the New York Knicks kind of won that trade. But coming back to OKC, they come out the cup. They, like I said, beat Orlando 105-99, beat Miami on the road 104-97. So they can close out those little East stretch right here between Washington and Indiana. I think, things will be looking good for them. So for me, for OKC, if you're an OKC fan, don't sweat it. Don't trip about it. Some of y'all probably don't even care about the NBA Cup like that. I think this for y'all, just hopefully check Holmgren whenever he comes back, probably next month. It'll be good to go, get things back and rolling, getting back into speed of things, and just continue to ball out and win. I think, the NBA Cup would be nice, a nice feather in the cap for the squad, but I think, your end goal is the NBA championship. So that's what I think, my thoughts on the NBA Cup and all that stuff. But we're going to take a quick break. On the other side of things, we'll continue the NBA talk for the past week. Also, the Lakers, could they sweep the Sacramento Kings on the 28th? But this is Fast Break for IE Sports Radio. You're the read for sports, and I'll catch you on the other side.
Hey sports fans, are you in the market for Florida sports or just keeping up with the latest in the Panhandle? Palm Tree Sports is a dedicated audio hub to all things sports in the Sunshine State. We cover current events, big news, heavily favored opinions all across the NFL, NBA, MLB, and so much more. So come check us out every Saturday evening at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for a down south education on Florida sports and athletics. It's hosted by yours truly, Corey Pujols, and is powered by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hockey fans, I'm Adam Kernick.
And I'm Zach Puplis.
Together, we are the newest version of Hockey Talk on IE Sports Radio, The Neutral Zone.
Zone.
We love hockey, but we also know it's not everyone's first sport. So we want to make this show as much for new fans as for the diehards.
Whether you can name all the Swedes on the '08 Red Wings Stanley Cup team, or if you can't tell if Varlamov is a goalie or the latest trendy vodka, we're here to help. With facts, figures, and outrageous fans, we bring you all the hard-hitting hockey news you can handle, while still keeping it fun and on the rails. Well, mostly.
So tune in every week as we go around the hockey world, from college to Canada, the minors and the majors, and everywhere in between.
So bring your cellies,
And your one-timers,
you wicked wristas.
and be sure to protect your five-hole.
Catch the Neutral Zone every week on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
We promise not to pick on the Arizona Coyotes every episode.
And welcome back to Fast Break here live for IE Sports Radio, your direct for all sports. And I got a special guest with me, Dentarius Rodriguez, host of our SoCal Sports Supreme Show, and also host of Set Point here for IE Sports Radio. How you doing tonight, sir?
I'm doing good, Davidson. Thank you for having me on for a second straight week. Happy to fill in for Dentarius whenever he's not here.
I appreciate you joining in with me tonight. As we going to the first break, I talked about the NBA Cup, and now coming to here, we're going to talk about the rest of the NBA this past week, that good stuff. One game I kind of want to talk about here, the Lakers, they beat the Kings. They had two back-to-backs with the Kings here. They had one game yesterday, and then they had a game, I think, the day before that as well with the Sacramento Kings.
Thursday,
yeah. So, your thoughts on the Lakers, maybe on the verge of sweeping the Kings on the 28th at home. What are your thoughts on the Lakers, so far winning 3 games in a row? They got the Pistons Monday. Can they build a streak, towards the end of the year, in your humble opinion?
Yeah, I think the 2 wins over Sacramento were great, especially on the road. So, yeah, the Lakers are a frisky and difficult team to evaluate just because they started off the season winning 3 in a row, and then they've just had this like little loop where they've just lost a few, and then they've won a few, and then they've lost a few. So, kind of hard to gauge on what Lakers team we're going to get, especially with all the injuries flying around. So, yeah, they've got Detroit. Detroit, I'm surprised they're doing pretty good. They have the talent. It's just that they just haven't been able to put it together. So, yeah, the Lakers having that Pistons game, that could be a trap game if Lakers are not careful. But yeah, getting Golden State on Christmas Day, that's going to be fun. I'm a little concerned for Golden State just because Golden State, they're a frisky team. Then Sacramento again. Hard to believe that the Lakers are going to get their series against the Kings out of the way. It's not even the new year. And then the Cavaliers, that's another tough one right there. So, yeah, I feel it'll be tough to have a winning streak going into next season. But I'm liking where the Lakers are at right now. I mean, 3 in a row, they need all the wins they can get, especially with some of their players on temporary injured lists, like LeBron and AD, they're day-to-day, as well as a few other guys that are out indefinitely. So, I think this whole winning streak is great for the Lakers, and they just need to keep it going.
Yeah, they got to keep it going. Like I said, they got Detroit tomorrow, and then they go up to Golden State and then come back home. It's like, who does his schedule? But anyways, but they at least got a 2-game stand to close out the new year. My thing is, winning against Sacramento, you got some nice good wins against them. A team that kind of been on your side for the past couple of years, especially going up to Sacramento. It's been real issues with beating them up there. Where it's De'Aaron Fox, having big games, Sabonis having huge rebounds and close moments, stuff like that, or guys like Murray, Monk getting hot and kind of staying hot, especially in the second half, and they pull away in that second half. Now, I think, you go back to the JJ Redick hire, and you see how the wins a change in those type of aspects. Now you kind of, you're winning those type of games. You're not losing back-to-backs like that. And you kind of beating teams that I don't say should, because Sacramento is a good, solid team, well-rounded team, but you're beating teams that you should. And I think that's a good positive momentum for the Lakers. And now, you're going to against a Detroit team that it's like they're good. They're still young. They're good, but you don't know what you can get out of them. And that's my thing, going against the team against Detroit. It's like, could the big man show up? Does Tobias Harris have a good game out of him? What about Kay Cunningham? So it's like with Detroit, a lot of guys can beat you, but you just don't know who's going to come from.
Yeah, I think and that was that's a massive trap game right there. I just think the Lakers, as long as they play their solid basketball, I think they'll be fine. I think the one thing that the Lakers had trouble doing was taking accountability on who is to blame for everything. And I think it's a whole team thing. Like if everyone says it's all LeBron's fault or JJ Redick's fault or this person or that person's fault, I just think the Lakers as a whole need to have their accountability, whether it's the players or the coaches. So I think once JJ Redick has righted that, which he's kind of has, I think the Lakers should straighten up really nicely. Again, the schedule does pick up a little. I mean, I know the Kings aren't the greatest, but they're always a tough battle. Pistons, as you mentioned, they're young, and then so on and so forth. It's still a pretty long season, and it's a miracle the Lakers are actually the best team out of the bunch from the Pacific Division. So I'm excited to see what the Lakers have in store for me as well as us. And hopefully Lakers can get pretty healthy for the most part. As long as AD is still healthy, because he's been great, he might have possible MVP accolade. What's the word? Aspirations, as well as defensive player aspirations. I think if he can stay healthy, I think he'll be a lean, mean defensive player machine.
I think, like I said, health is a big thing. Let me ask you this. Do you think the Lakers can beat the Warriors on Christmas Day? I know Steph, he's been so-so this year. I don't want to say so-so, but, you can see kind of like, I don't say like the step back a little bit. Some of the young guys that they're kind of hoping on for this year, they really haven't stepped up to the plate like they should. They traded for Dennis Schroeder, Draymond Green. He laid a goose egg, against the Memphis Grizzlies when they got mollywopped against the Grizz. Can the Lakers kind of take advantage of that and beat them on Christmas Day?
I think it's definitely possible. It all depends on if Steph Curry has that dreadful game like he had against the Grizzlies. If he has that dreadful game against Memphis, there's no doubt in my mind I think the Lakers can win. But as long as the Warriors have Steph Curry, they're never, ever, 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 ever out of it. And my other thing is for the Warriors, will other players step up? Like, will players like Andrew Wiggins step up? Will Kevon Looney step up? Will Draymond Green have himself a better stat line that he did that one night where he just had like one steal and so on and so forth? So that's going to be my thing right there. Or, my thing for the Lakers right there. Will other players on the Lakers step up? Like, will they get good output from Austin Reeves? Will Anthony Davis have a monster game in the at the center position or at the 5? So those are some questions that I hope will be answered perfectly by the Lakers. I mean, it's certainly not going to be easy playing Golden State at Golden State, but we'll see what happens. And I think I'm confident in the Lakers. I really want them to beat the Warriors, but the Warriors are still the Warriors.
And let me go to the chat real quick. I saw this earlier. And shout out to the chat, everybody. Thank y'all for tuning in with us tonight. Thank y'all so much. Rick Keeler brought this question. Hey, Davidson, have a great show. Question for you. What is your most intriguing storyline of the Christmas games? Now, to go to the schedule for the Christmas games, ladies and gentlemen, I'm pulling it up right now. You got the Spurs against the Knicks in NYC. You got the Lakers, Warriors, what we just kind of talked about right there. You got the Timberwolves and Mavericks, rematch of the Western Conference Finals from last season. You got the 76ers and the Celtics. God knows who's going to play for the Sixers. And then you got the nightcap of the Nuggets versus the Suns. So, Rick, I'm going to go to you. What are the more intriguing storylines for you for the Christmas Day games, in your opinion?
Well, the first thing that pops out is Steph versus LeBron, as always. How long do those two have until those two decide to hang up their sneakers? So I think that's kind of the big storyline right there. And then, as you mentioned, Dallas versus Minnesota, rematch of last year's Western Conference Final. That's a nice little storyline right there. Then you got New York, San Antonio. Those two are old school rivals back in like the late 90s where Ewing and the Knicks would take on Tim Duncan, David Robinson, and the Spurs. I think they just kind of want to give us that nostalgia as well as like put like some – they needed like some sort of scapegoat to like put on the Disney broadcast, which I think is pretty funny. And thank goodness the Lakers weren't the ones selected as the Disney broadcast. Otherwise, people would never stop cracking the whole Mickey Mouse joke or Mickey Mouse title thing. It's still an actual championship. But yeah, then you got Sixers, Celtics. I think that's just two longtime Eastern Conference rivals. I think the Sixers have seen better days just because their whole team is pretty much on IR and whatnot. And then the Celtics are still fairly dominant. Maybe not as dominant as last year, but they're still going to be contenders in the East. And then Denver versus the Suns. It's been a little bit of a weird ride seeing the Suns just because those two teams are high-powered offenses and they're really high-powered teams in the Western Conference. But I think Denver's starting to find their footing. The Suns kind of need to get their lick back just because they can't afford to fall behind further in the Western Conference just because the West is getting stacked by the day. Let's keep it a buck. But I think for the Suns versus the Nuggets, I think that's just like two good Western Conference teams facing one another. You know, you got KD with the Suns. You've got Nikola Jokic with the Nuggets and whatnot. So I think it's kind of the reasoning of them picking Nuggets versus Suns. And that's kind of my storyline right there, just because both teams have a lot of superstars on their team.
I think for me, you look at, let me go to the Spurs and Knicks first. I think for the Spurs, I think, they got Victor on Christmas Day in New York. A lot of buzz, for him. He had a great game yesterday. So I think, you're trying to get Victor's name out there. First game, Christmas Day, you're getting that game in before the NFL games kick in. I think that's the main thing right there before the NFL takeover happens later on in the afternoon.
Yep.
And plus the Beyonce concert.
That's right.
So I think that's the reason why you got Victor and then, against the Knicks early on. I think also you look in the New York side of things, a team that's been playing very well. Teams that have been very consistent. I think for the Knicks, can you stop? I'll say stop, but can you not let Victor Wembanyama have his MSG moment on Christmas Day? Now, what I mean by that, like a big stat line, like 30 points, 10 blocks, and like 15 rebounds, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I think if you can control that, Karl Anthony Towns play tough with them, down low. I think they'll go a long way for New York, and I think the guards for New York, Jalen Brunson, kind of outshows Chris Paul and Stephen Castle. I think they'll go a long way for the Knicks to win that game. Lakers, Warriors, kind of touched on that already, but I think for the Lakers, can you build a little momentum going to the new year? Can you take advantage of the Warriors team that ain't playing too well? And then for the Warriors, I think for me, it's like they got to find a way to get the groove back. It's off the year very well and top of the West, but here lately, just everybody's not playing well. Brandon Popansky, I think I pronounced his name right. He's just been playing bad, and he making comments. He go back on his comments talking about Steph and all that type of stuff. So it's not like a good thing right now for the Warriors. Going to the end of this month, and Draymond's not playing well with this squad. So there's just a lot of questions with the Warriors right now. And then look at the other games. The Timberwolves, Mavs, Terran, the Wolves team. God, it seemed like it's like that the Randall and Cat trade could have went either way, how it would have played out for either team. And I think right now New York is going to trade. And for Randall and the Wolves, it's not been good basketball wise. And I think they may be looking to move him come trade deadline, in my opinion. And I don't know where this team is going. You talking about like a team that's on a rise after that Western Conference run, but right now they just kind of, I don't say peter out, but it's just kind of like, did they already hit their ceiling already? Or was like Carl Anthony Towns was that perfect number 2 to go along with Anthony Edwards? I think that's probably like a bigger question to ask Wolves management. And then for the Mavs, can they just, I guess stay consistent? Is that a nice word to say about them? Can they just stay consistent and take advantage of the Wolves' disarray? And then lastly, the last couple of games, the Sixers. I don't know who's going to play for the Sixers. Everybody's hurt. Jeremy Kane, the kind of lone bright spot for this squad, he's out for a significant time. So with him out, Embiid fighting sinus infections, whatever. Paul George ain't playing his best. This team sucks. I hate to say it like that.
Mm-hmm.
And you talking about a team, sign Paul George, okay, championship aspirations. I mean, it's always there with Joel Embiid there, but, Maxey come to his own, sitting Paul George there, okay, do some things. But now it's just like, it's just like disappointing to say things. And Celtics got Porzingis back in the fold, and I think they're going to straight run him out the gym in Boston. And like you mentioned about the Suns, this is like, if one star guy goes out, it's like the Pelicans. One guy comes back, another guy goes out. If one guy comes back, another guy goes out. Right now, Devin Booker's out. KD and Bradley Beal showing the load. For the Nuggets, they talking about openly training Michael Porter Jr. We told y'all on this show for the past couple years now, being D-Locke, that giving Michael Porter Jr. that extension was kind of a hasty decision. And now you're kind of looking at it now, he's only tradable asset you can get valuable pieces back for him. And we knew that from the jump. I'm not saying Michael Porter's a bad player. I wish his back was still healthy to prove that he's be that true number 1 guy like we all thought coming out of high school. But now it's not the case. He's not that guy. Probably never be that guy, Taryn. And for the Nuggets, thank God they got Jokic, because if they didn't have them, I think this team would be below 500.
Denver had that iffy start to the season. I mean, it's tough to really gauge Denver at this point. I mean, they're in the running to make the playoffs, but they have that awful loss to Portland. Like, I don't know how you lose that one. And they're kind of the same. They're kind of the same boat as the Lakers. They have a few win streaks here and there, and then they have a few lose streaks here and there. So I know they're actually playing the New Orleans Pelicans right now, and it looks like they are losing right now, 91-79 in the third quarter. So yeah, that's not good if you're the Nuggets. Like, you can't lose to the. Keep in mind, the Pelicans are the worst team in the Western Conference. So I don't understand what's going on with Denver right now. They really got to get together. And if it means moving a few pieces here and there, then so be it. And if it means also getting a few pieces in return that fit the system, then you also have that too. But this is unlike Denver. I mean, last year, the Western Conference semifinal, I wouldn't say collapse, but blunder really hurt them. But I also would say that the Nuggets just don't seem to be that team that everyone seemed to fear back a few years ago. So, and you got to keep Nikola Jokic as happy as possible. I mean, I don't think he's going anywhere, but he can't carry the team every single night. I mean, yes, he can, but he needs the support.
And you mentioned about the Nuggets playing the Pelicans. And the Pelicans, I won't say they're on the same level as the Wizards. I think they're a better team than the Wizards.
Yeah.
But damn, it hasn't been pretty this year. And I know they had the injuries to Ingram, McCollum, and Zion, and Herb Jones, Jose Alderone has been out. A lot of injuries, Jordan Hawkins as well, so forth. But damn, they stink. They stink. Dejounte Murray, I forgot about him. He didn't hurt as well. It's just like they stink. And right now they're down 11 at the end of the third to the Pelicans. Trey Murphy, 21 points for him to lead away for New Orleans. Jokic on the other side of things, 14 points, 9 rebounds, 7 assists, 15 points for Jamal Murray right now. Eric Gordon, 13 points, and Michael Porter Jr., a guy who really don't play well on the road like that, has 8 points. So Westbrook off the bench, 15 points for him. But I think what we talked about on Twitter and X, we talked about the Nuggets, missing KCP and stuff like that. And it's like one hand, okay, we get what Kevin Booth's trying to do. KCP 30s, okay, you let him move on, get his money, whatever. You drafted the past couple of years, Christian Braun, Julian Strother, and a couple other guys to kind of replace that production on the wing. So I get letting him go and stuff like that. And I get Mike Malone's on the other side of things like, hey, I kind of want to keep things together because I know what works and stuff like that. And now we kind of see in the past couple of years, letting Bruce Brown go, letting KCP go, letting those key pieces go and whatnot. Even like a Ray Jackson who kind of spelled them for a good couple games, letting those guys go and stuff like that kind of eats away. And if you don't replace them very well, your production goes away. And now Jokic got to do more, like you alluded to. Jamal Murray I mean, he's okay, but he hasn't really ascended like a lot of folks hoped he would. And then let's talk about Michael Porter Jr. He's all right, but he's not going to be that number one overall top player that we kind of assumed out of high school. So, and this is where we're at with the Denver Nuggets, in my humble opinion. I'll let you have the last word.
Yeah, and again, it's still plenty of time for the Nuggets. I mean, they're 14-11 and they're 6th place, but I don't think they're going to be catching Oklahoma City. And I forgot about Jamal Murray and whatnot. So I think for the Nuggets, still keep an eye on them, but they're starting to nibble away at this deficit that they're facing against New Orleans. But yeah, dude. Yeah, I'm just wondering who could be on the trade block from the Nuggets, and is their empire? Okay, maybe empire might not be the right word, but is their reign as a Western Conference boss starting to come to an end? I mean, they'll still own the Lakers. Sad to say, but at the same time, what about the other teams? Because you can't play the Lakers every single night. I just wonder: is the Nuggets reign over the Western Conference, or is their boss status coming to an end? That's my biggest thing right there. And it's kind of showing in some of these games where they're just not the same team where they just kick everyone's butt and they're just so feared every single night, and they'll been putting up astronomical numbers game after game after game.
Before we get out here, I do want to talk about this game right here. D-Lock's own Orlando Magic, who's been playing very well, kind of keeping them afloat with things, with Franz Wagner, Paulo Pincaro being out. They come back and win big against Miami, 121-114. Now, at one point, the Heat had them down double digits, but that fourth quarter, Orlando outscored Miami 37-8 in that fourth quarter, win by 7. 37-8.
Mm-hmm.
That's abysmal, and that's even bad in NBA terms today. Cole Anthony had 35 points, 27 of them in the fourth quarter. I mean, not in the second half, excuse me. And Orlando continues to win, find ways to win without their star players. Taryn, Jimmy Butler, there's open discussions. Maybe he may be moved or whatnot.
Yeah.
There's discussions there. The Heat right now, if you look at the standings, you know, there's 6 right now.
Mm-hmm.
So not a bad spot. You're above float. But you feel like this team's kind of been the same for the past few years. Orlando's a young team. What, in your eyes, should Miami do going forward? Do they move Jimmy Butler? In your humble opinion?
If they can get a big haul from the from whoever they're trading with, then so be it. But I guess something else from that Orlando Magic Miami Heat game is that the Magic actually tied their largest comeback from that deficit, largest comeback in team history, being down by as many as 25 points to wind up beating the Heat. And the Magic, I guess I should go back. Let me backtrack back to the Heat. The Heat, I don't know what they should do with Jimmy Butler. Again, it's all about the haul that they get. I think if he's like aging and he's like not putting up the numbers, then let's see what he does, where he does somewhere else. I mean, it all depends on who the Heat find as a trade partner. If they can find the perfect trade partner, get like the perfect package, and if they have to move other players, then so be it. But for right now, Jimmy Butler's kind of the heart and soul of this Heat team. He's kind of the reason why the Heat have been somewhat relevant for a good portion of certain seasons. I mean, yeah, age is kind of catching up with him, but I feel that it might be time to move on. And he's been a nice little journeyman for the Miami Heat. But I think the Heat maybe kind of have to go a little younger and whatnot, but we shall see.
I think for the Heat side of things in this matchup, I think it's just like, damn, man, y'all let this team come in and beat y'all like this. That's my thinking. And you didn't out-rebound them. And, you know, like I said, they started down and start guys. They let KCP probably have one of his better scoring outputs this year, 24 points, you know, in the starting lineup. And like I said, Cole Anthony, he had 35 points to close out the night. But I just think it's like what the Heat culture thing is great. I like it. I always say on the show, I love it and stuff like that. But I think at some point, it's just like you need some dudes in there. I know Jimmy Butler's a dude. Bam Adebayo's a dude.
Mm-hmm.
But I just think it's like you're kind of stagnant right now. You're kind of stagnant. And I don't know what they can do to shake it up. You know, I don't know who's available to get to kind of shake up. Do you kind of do a swap with New Orleans with Brandon Ingram? You shake up things there, and maybe get another player from New Orleans. Do you shake it up with Denver, possibly with Michael Porter Jr.? Do you do that? I just don't know, because Orlando, once they get the other guys back, you know, it's back up for them. For Miami, you know, you took a swing for Terry Rozier. It's been okay. Tyler Hero's playing pretty well. You know, Bam Adebayo, you know, playing better compared to the start of the year. But it's just like, I don't know what this team. And I know it's a team you don't want to see in the playoffs, but it's like in the same breath, just like, okay, kind of like you alluded to Denver earlier. They ain't that big bad team that you probably not scared to see anymore. So I don't know. And I think maybe Orlando may clip their wings a little bit. I'll let you have the last word.
Yeah, and what the Magic did last night was pretty darn impressive. And what they're doing is literally, it's been also equally as impressive. The fact that they've had a bunch of their key players out with injury and they're still finding ways to win games is absurd. Now, I don't know if they're going to continue that success tomorrow against Boston, but if they do, then that would be amazing if they beat the Magic, or if the Magic beat the Celtics. But for right now, I think for Orlando, it's been amazing to see their turnaround. I don't think their playoff appearance and their success overall has been a fluke. I think they're doing everything correct. And 37-8 in that fourth quarter is just absolutely phenomenal. So I don't know what to say for the Heat, though. I mean, so Spoelstra's a great coach. Let's keep it a buck. Spoel is a great coach, but I feel it's just kind of that same copy and paste team from many years from previous years. I think it's just the same thing over and over and over again. So overall for the Heat, it's just there's a lot of questions for them, and I think that they'll look to try to remedy some things by the time the Christmas break comes and whatnot.
So we'll keep an eye on Miami and see what goes on with them and see how if things kind of go down south, no pun intended, but if things kind of spiral down for them, do they look to sell parts or maybe retool and stuff like that. But we'll wait and see on them. We'll take our last break. But on the other side of things, we will talk about UCONN versus USC. The Trojans getting a big win up in stores. Could these two teams possibly meet again in the NCAA tournament? But this is Fast Break Live for iSports Radio. You're the read for our sports, and we'll catch you on the other side.
Hey sports fans, do you like wine? Well, we've got the show for you. This is Let's Wine About Sports, a show where we talk about wine and sports simultaneously. From the classic Cabernet Sauvignon all the way down to the grapes that you've never even heard of before. Oh yeah, we cover it all. And we'll talk about a little bit of sports as well. Football, hockey, collegiate, women's sports, it doesn't matter. We're going to talk about it all, and we're going to whine about it all. So join me Monday at 8 p.m. on IU Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
What's up, Pittsburgh? This is Ralph DeLeese, the host of the Injury Report on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Are you that passionate, diehard Steelers, Penguins, Pirates, or just a Pittsburgh sports fan? then please join me on the Injury Report every Tuesday on IE Sports Radio, the direct feed for all that is sports. And I will update you on all that's black and gold and have you telling your Pittsburgh fans and friends what's up with Pittsburgh sports. Tune in Tuesday with me, Ralph Calise, the Injury Report on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Let's go!
And we're back. We're back here for IE Sports Radio, your direct for all sports. Thank you for tuning in with us tonight. Got a special guest with me tonight, Dentarius Rodriguez, host of Set Point here for IE Sports Radio and the SoCal Sports Supreme Show here on the network as well. Darren, to close out the show, big time matchup in women's basketball, UConn versus USC, top 10 matchup, with the Trojans winning 72-70. At first, I don't think the game's going to be a blowout because they're playing in stores and, you got Gino there, all that good stuff. And you knew, UConn would mount a comeback. But at one point, USC had those girls down double digits and stuff like that. My question to you, what were your thoughts on the game, and how big is this win for USC in your eyes, being a SoCal native?
Well, I think it means a lot. I mean, first and foremost, yeah, USC kind of did worry me after having that big lead. I'm like, oh, God, why are they losing? Why are they blowing this lead? Like, please stop. And they've kind of struggled against ranked competition. They struggled against Ole Miss to start the season. They also struggled with Notre Dame, which is their lone loss. Oregon, they didn't really struggle against them, but they were able to wiggle away and find some breathing room in that win right there. So I think for USC, this is a big win, especially since you have to remember last year, UConn was the team that beat USC. And the first thing that I thought was, this was for last year's team. This was for the team that saw their season, or for the seniors, or the players that just for the players that didn't come back to this year's team. This was for them. This one was for them. So, yeah, I was a little worried. I really did not agree with that foul on Juju Watkins on the three-point attempt. I thought that was a little bit of a flop right there, and it kind of makes me wonder if there should be challenges in NCAA women's basketball and men's basketball. So it's a big win for USC just because the schedule only gets tougher. They've got Michigan and Nebraska, and they've got Maryland on the horizon, and then soon they're going to have to play UCLA. So playing teams like UConn and Ole Miss are going to benefit you, as opposed to like playing just like Cal Poly or the West Coast schools. Because let's be honest, there's only 2, maybe 3 West Coast teams that are actually legit: UCLA, USC, and maybe California Baptist.
I think when I looked at this game and watched this game in its entirety, USC came out pretty strong. And I think one thing for them that was key for them winning against UConn was hitting the outside shots and early. I think that's the big thing for them to win this game. Juju got caught up early, caught on fire early. And, I wish the USC women, big girls, well, I won't say big, the post players for USC, I'll get my words right. The post players for USC, I wish they were more consistent down low, especially in the first half. If they were hitting their shots in the first half down low, I think they could have blown them out and made UConn fight even harder trying to come back. But, with basketball, things happen. But it just drives me nuts when basketball players miss layups and stuff like that. I hop on my kids like that. Like, damn, if you get easy layups and if you miss the easy layups, you leaving easy points on the scoreboard. And that's what happened to USC. I think they left a lot of points on the score, left a lot of points off the scoreboard, in which they could have, I don't say not beat UConn handily, but I think it would be a different outcome. And then you force in Paige Buchers and company to kind of force them to do things that they ain't used to. And and Gino to kind of, maybe lean on her more, or maybe lean on the what's that girl's name for UConn? The
Sarah
chin girl,
Strong?
or Strong, or the chin girl, who at times are like that. Get the ball out of her hands. I was like watching that game, like, get out the ball out of her hands. She ain't doing nothing for you. But anyways, and they got smart, getting the ball in Strong and Bucher's hands more late in the game. But it's just like, come on, dude, like, recognize who you got right now and stuff like that. But back to USC though, Juju played great, rebounded very well. Even like late in the second half, trying to take advantage of, her size against Paige down low. I like that. Recognizing mismatches, using her body, to take advantage, those opportunities there. Now, not everything went her way, towards that point, but I like that she took initiative to do those type of things. And then, late in the game, also the post players kind of showed up and made their shots when needed to as well. Now, on the foul call, it could be a little foul, but I think also Juju got recognized late in the game. And I know you're trying to close out on a shooter like that, but you gotta watch your surroundings. You gotta watch, and you don't make those type of fouls. Now, lucky for her, and lucky for USC, Strong missed those free throws, and that's the thing about me and free throws. If y'all listen to the show, I can't stand missed free throws, and I always tell my kids, if you shoot 70%, at least 70%, your odds go well in your favor to win the game. I figured this out years ago. If you shoot at least 70%, your odds go well into the game. What does UConn shoot? 10 for 17, 58% from the line.
Yep.
If Strong would made her free throws, I mean, we're talking about overtime and momentum on that side, and at home, they possibly could have won that game. But her missing those free throws and others missing free throws as well, this is the result you get. So I think it's a great win for USC. We talked last week, a momentum program build win for the USC program. And this is two teams we possibly see in the NCAA tournament. Either Elite 8 or Final Four, in my eyes. But for you, I'm going to ask you this as a SoCal native.
Uh-huh.
After this win, how do you foresee them? How do you see them going to Big Ten play coming next month? How do you foresee them, using this cross country game, stuff like that, using this as an example to go cross country and stuff like that? How do you foresee them using this game in the travel conditions, stuff like that, to kind of carry that to Big Ten play in your eyes?
Well, it'll be tough. But you mentioned the 10 for 17 free throws. Yeah, USC kind of caught a little bit of a break right there. That's not going to happen every night, but thankfully for USC, they've got 2 games at home against Michigan and Nebraska, like I mentioned. Maryland on the road, that's going to be tough. Iowa on the road, another tough game. Ohio State at home, that's going to also be a tough game. So I think for USC, getting this win over UConn, it was big. And, they now know what it's like to play in a hostile environment. Now they have to build off that momentum and continue to play their brand of basketballs. Because there was another player that I thought was an unsung hero for USC, who I thought did pretty well, if you ask me. And that player happens to be Kiki Irefin, who had 16 points and 11 boards. And she also had 6 assists as well. So I thought she did great for USC. And that's kind of the thing for USC. They need to have that B type of player to help Juju Watkins, who is the A type of player. So if they can get Juju Watkins that type of help, then USC is going to be so scary going into Big Ten conference play as well as the NCAA tournament. But before that, we can all look at the NCAA tournament. They have to get past Big Ten play, which is going to be such a gauntlet with all that talent. And some of the teams that are in the Big Ten, they're still undefeated, like UCLA and Ohio State. I think Michigan State is still unbeaten as well. So I think for USC, Maryland's also undefeated. And yes, Michigan State has one loss. So yeah, Maryland's undefeated, Ohio State's undefeated, UCLA is undefeated. So I think USC's kind of got their work cut out for them come Big Ten conference play. But I think they can handle the pressure, and that's why they schedule games like a Notre Dame, like an Ole Miss, like a UConn, and so on and so forth to prepare them. Because last year when they made their way into Pac-12 play, I thought they were looking good at times, but then they didn't really schedule the competition that I thought that was going to be eye-popping and whatnot. And they almost lost to Penn State last year. And they did beat Ohio State, yes, but that was the beginning of the season. So that's why you schedule big and tough teams. And I'm glad Lindsey Gottlieb was able to do that instead of scheduling the West Coast teams and whatnot.
Yeah, looking at the schedule, on the first they played Nebraska. They got Michigan before that. It's going to be a tough matchup. Then you got Nebraska. You go at Rutgers, all the way to Jersey, and then going down south to College Park to play Maryland. So I think if you can win it, clean up at home, Michigan, Nebraska, beat Rutgers, as you should, and then, beat a tough Maryland team. I think, you look at the rest of the Big Ten schedule for the rest of January, I think you may be coming out pretty good. You could have a couple of hiccups there if in your Indiana swing right there. But I think this team, they're only going to beat themselves. I think they're going to beat themselves. Just pray that, Juju stay healthy and stuff like that. And then you also look, with this USC team. I think another lady as a step up was Ryan Marshall, excuse me. I think, going back to the UConn game for a little bit. She lets them points on the board, layups and stuff like that. I think she's more consistent down low. I think they'll go a long way with this team, in my humble eyes. Another girl came out the bench, played pretty well. Kylia Heckel, she came out and shot the ball pretty well off the bench. We needed to against UConn. I think that was pretty solid for her as well. So I just think, Juju's great. She can handle the ball, do all that stuff, but I think at times the other girls, they got to step up to the plate when needed to.
Mm-hmm.
And if they can do that, and then, come February, March, the big time matchups against UCLA, especially those post players, because Miss Betts is going to be probably first team All-American. I think you agree with that, right?
Absolutely, 100%.
So by that time, we meet up with them. Y'all season ready to go, and your play is better down low to challenge her in the post. And I think if that can happen, I think they'll go a long way for USC to possibly, not definitively, but possibly win an NCAA championship. But of course, you got UCLA, LSU, UConn, and others to challenge for that title, Maryland, and stuff like that. But USC, in my eyes, is one of my favorites to win it all. I'll let you have last word.
Yeah, I think USC, they still have a lot to clean up on, and thankfully they haven't played their best basketball. Soon they're going to play their best basketball, and they're going to show everybody that last year's success was not an accident or just the rise of Juju Watkins. If Juju Watkins continues to play her brand of basketball and other players from USC step up, then USC will be a very scary team. But UCLA, as you mentioned, that is a very legit team. I think UCLA is going to be a barn burner at UCLA and at Galen Center. And something to note is that those two venues, they're going to be blockbusters for not only UCLA and USC fans for when they play Nebraska and Michigan next year, but for like other fans, because Nebraska has a passionate fan base in terms of like sports, and then also Michigan is pretty passionate in terms of its fan base too. So expect like big turnouts, and expect like opposing fans to like make the trip down to Southern California, but also expect like USC and UCLA fans in terms of like women's basketball to be excited for this.
So we'll see how things shake out for the USC women's team. In my eyes, one of the better teams in the country. So we'll see how things shake out for the ladies there. But this has been our show tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for tuning in with us to kind of go back and look at the Pelicans. Can they upset the Denver Nuggets? I'm looking right now. And the Nuggets have taken the lead in the fourth quarter. 115 to 110 right now with 3 minutes left. So the Pelicans had a chance to do the right thing and get a big win, but I guess that ain't going to happen now, and they may be on their way to lose the game.
Best described
Mr.
season right there.
Yes, sir. How can the people find you on social media?
You can follow me on social media, mainly on X at Taryn Rodriguez 1. You can also follow Set Point and SoCal Supreme Sports Show as well. Those accounts are in my bio as well. But I'm on X at Taryn Rodriguez 1.
You can follow our show's page at Twitter/X at FastBreak@IESR. That's FastBreak@IESR on Twitter/X. Do follow D-Locke at Black-813. That's Black-813. Do follow me on Twitter/X Spawn4288. That's Spawn4288. I do another show on the side called the Crooks Process. Do follow me on there on Facebook and Instagram, the Crooks Process. You'll see the CP logo there. And do follow me on there. Do follow iSportsRadio.com for all your latest shows, news, and feeds. And also follow IE Sports Radio on all your social media feeds as well. Until next week, ladies and gentlemen, there won't be a show because I got prior obligations, so there won't be a show next week on there. So this will be the last time I see you for the calendar year until the next month in January. So have a great holiday. Stay safe out there. Taryn Rodriguez, thank you for tuning in with me. Have a great holiday to you, sir. And we'll see y'all on the other side on 2025. College basketball picking up, conference play, NBA picking up as well. And football's dying down, so it's going to be a loaded show here on out. But this is Fast Break Live for iSports Radio, your week fall in sports. And we'll catch y'all later on. Peace.
Happy holidays. Peace.